So what would you say for you are like some of the like one or two big tips for people that are trying to learn a language?
I would completely agree with the first tip. I mean, it's to try to get rid of fear, or at least to face it and to understand, okay,
Yeah.
I have a fear about talking. What am I, what am I, there is like a 5 questions rule. If you want to know the real reason, ask yourself 5 questions. No, it's like, oh, why I have fear about the languages? Oh, I don't want to feel like dumb or ridiculous. What's going to happen to you? Is it going to hurt or something? No, nothing. I mean, I'm going to feel the same. But what kind of like advantage so I can learn the language? And so in the end, if we do this like logical sequence of questions, there is no fear. I mean, fear, it's a fictitious thing. For most of the things we fear in our life, it just doesn't exist. It's here in our head. And if we ask like a couple of questions ourselves, why we have this fear, it's just for some really silly things that, don't really matter. So I think the first one is just like to expose, to not have fear. I remember when I was a teenager or some, I was like really more into like having a good pronunciation, for example. Right now, I think my pronunciation is okay, but I know that it has this like tone of like Eastern European someone, from there. And I don't want to even get rid of this because it's part of my identity. If at some point I live in, I don't know, UK or United States and it changes, it's absolutely fine. Now, sometimes I live in Mexico City, I speak in Spanish, and some people say, oh, the first, like, I heard you're from here. And only then, you see, okay, you struggle with some words. Okay, yeah. So I think the first one is get rid of fear. Yeah, like, and practice as much and enjoying it,
Yeah.
And the second one would be having, like, understand why you want this language. If you want it for work,
Okay.
if you want it for your studies, if you want it for just like for communication, if it's something really important, it will be enough trigger for you to actually get rid of fear first, and second, to expose yourself, to practice, to listen, do mistakes. The third one is like do mistakes, practice as much as possible. Mistakes is our best ally in learning languages. So, and then of course, like investing enough time to this. But even if you do it naturally, like for example, I used to live in China for 2 years, and I did some basic Mandarin course at my university. Then I was practicing there. I did some courses, but I never actually went to study it in a structured way to get some level, unfortunately. And maybe that's something I later regretted because I had an amazing opportunity. Now I live here in Mexico City, and the place where I live, there are like quite a lot of like, let's say, Chinese people. They do their business and everything. So I have a chance to talk. And sometimes like I just like catch myself an idea. I'm here, Alex, practice. Say good morning, say hello, how are you? Tell who you are. You're not gonna feel ridiculous. And a couple of times I just like kind of pressed myself like not doing that because again, for this unexplainable fear. And then at some point I decided, okay, I don't care. And I spoke. And that much amount of energy, that much amount of positive actually energy, smiles, interchanging, people seeing you and like their interest, it gives so much. Basically, communication, I think, is one of the, like, just talking to people is one of the best ways how people can be happy. Talking to people, sharing smiles, sharing emotions, seeing them, feeling them, instead of being inside of ourselves and like, trying to look away from somebody who we can say hello to, even like people who we don't know. So this is like an amazing advantage, just like to go out and talk to people. It feels good.
No, I definitely agree. Fear, I think a lot of it has to do with the fear of the unknown. We just don't know what's going to happen when we try something that we've never tried before. And so we end up giving fear more power than it actually has. To some degree, it's important to be afraid, right? Especially when you're trying something that it could have negative consequences. But just to remember that, to not give fear more power than it actually deserves. So quick question here that I wrote for you is like what? Well, first of all, so 2 questions. 1, how many languages do you speak? And 2, which one was the hardest one to learn for you?